Hey everybody, it's me, Rip Van Wagner, broadcasting from the Galaquarium during the 2020 quarantine. I'm listening to an audiobook, How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollen, and just come across a part in the beginning of this chapter that I think a lot of friends of mine will be interested in. I've read it in other books, but he goes into a little bit more detail about some of the history of it. So with no further ado, please check this out and yeah, tell me what you think.
In the mid-1950s, Bill Wilson, the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, learned about Osmond and Hoffer's work with alcoholics. The idea that a drug could occasion a life-changing spiritual experience was not exactly news to Bill W., as he was known in the fellowship. He credited his own sobriety to a mystical experience he had on belladonna, a plant-derived alkaloid with hallucinogenic properties that was administered to him at Towns Hospital in Manhattan in 1934.
What?
Few members of AA realize that the whole idea of a spiritual awakening leading one to surrender to a higher power, a cornerstone of Alcoholics Anonymous, can be traced to a psychedelic drug trip. 20 years later, Bill W. became curious to see if LSD, this new wonder drug, might prove useful in helping recovering alcoholics have such an awakening. Through Humphrey Osmond, he got in touch with Sidney Cohen, an internist at the Brentwood VA Hospital and later UCLA, who had been experimenting with Sandoz LSD since 1955. Beginning in 1956, Bill W. had several LSD sessions in Los Angeles with Sidney Cohen and Betty Eisner, a young psychologist who had recently completed her doctorate at UCLA. Along with the psychiatrist Oscar Janiger, Cohen and Eisner were by then leading figures in a new hub of LSD research loosely centered on UCLA. By the mid-1950s, there were perhaps a dozen such hubs in North America and Europe. Most of them kept in close contact with one another, sharing techniques, discoveries, and sometimes drugs, in a spirit that was generally more cooperative than competitive.
Makes sense.
Bill W.'s sessions with Cohen and Eisner convinced him that LSD could reliably occasion the kind of spiritual awakening he believed one needed in order to get sober. However, he did not believe the LSD experience was anything like the DTs, thus driving another nail in the coffin of that idea. Bill W. thought there might be a place for LSD therapy in AA, but his colleagues on the board of the fellowship strongly disagreed, believing that to condone the use of any mind-altering substance risked muddying the organization's brand and message.
Now, that makes sense, of course, as volatile as LSD's history seems to have been, but in doing so, it seems as though they've stripped away a very key element of a spiritual program, right? So with that said, I hope you enjoyed my little share. Look into groups like MAPS, Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. There's a lot of research that is suggesting that the key to treating addiction and trauma, PTSD, anxiety, a lot of the issues that plague our culture can be found inside these chemical compounds that our ancestors have been using for thousands of years to connect with spirit and connect with them each other. So thanks for letting me share. I hope I didn't bore you with it, and have a great time. See you guys around.